Okay, hello everyone. As I promised on X, I'm gonna do a quick video here for 3 recent trades that I've made. 2 in AI infrastructure build out phase, which is really now the hot theme, and the early stages of the AI bull market. Ultimately, there's going to be tons of use cases from a software perspective when it comes to AI, but right now, really the focus is on the build out of AI. So electricity, chips, infrastructure, data centers, and all that stuff. So the 2 in that space are ALAB and BE. ALAB, AI infrastructure, BE, energy. And then the third trade is Ethereum through the ETF, ETHA. That is also a hot theme with cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. I honestly don't know what all of the other cryptocurrency stuff is doing. I don't look at anything outside of IBIT for the ETF for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are the 2 that I really watch and on my list. And Ethereum's story here, and we'll get to that in a bit, but I want to get the theme of these 3 stocks out of the way because it plays a big part of the trade decision and how aggressive and the conviction you have in these stocks to be able to hold them for double digits or triple digits. Because I'm not playing these for 5 and 10%, and you're going to have some type of conviction in holding these stocks. So I'm going to go through kind of my thought process, why I was stocking them, and then how I was able to hold them for 80%, 100% gain like BE and ALAB. And without that story behind it and the conviction and the environment being right for it, you're not going to be able to hold stocks like that. So Ethereum is really, I'm not an expert in Ethereum, but what I know at a very high level is that it's the main blockchain that stable coin use. And so think about it as a highway where stable coin can easily and quickly move around and be transacted. So we'll look at Ethereum here in a second and what I was looking at. But let's start with ALAB. Just yesterday, I posted a video that I made a while back. It's called Position Yourself to Get Lucky. So I talked about the AI build out phase theme. I'm not going to repeat that here. You can watch that video and I'll link to it at the end of this. Talked about ALAB and why I was trying to get positioned into it. So watch that one if you haven't watched it. But for this one, we're going to dive into trade execution and the sells and how you can hold a stock for potential triple digit gain. Quickly, what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to go to the weekly on this chart. We'll move this out of the way. Just take a look at the fundamentals a little bit because you need a hot theme, you need a story, and you need fundamentals for triple digit moves to happen. It's not easy. You're most likely not going to get triple digit moves on a stock that have declining sales, negative earning per share, stuff like that. So the story here just aligns, everything just stacks, right? You've got the earning per share growth, you've got the future estimates, here's your EPS, you've got your triple digit sale. I mean, the sale is absolutely insane. Triple digit since December of last year. So the fundamental story exists. The hot theme exists in the AI infrastructure build out phase. And then you've got the technicals. So I've talked about this area here in my last video and why this was bullish bullish consolidation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Trading View, and then we are going to take a look at that stock in details over there. There is, so I've when I was posting about this on X, I got some comments about ALAB being a laggard, and essentially kind of, you know, poking holes in this setup when it was developing around here and I was stocking it. And I just want to just say one thing about laggard. It's too early to be talking about laggards in this bull market. In my view, this is a very early AI bull market. You can talk about laggard when a bull market been going on for months and months and months and months and maybe years. And then you have stocks that are still in bases that are trying to break out late in the bull market. We are way early in a bull market, and you're going to have leaders and you're going to have stocks breaking in phases. You're going to have wave one or waves versus anything else. So you're going to have wave one that initially breaks out as the market is bottoming. And then you're going to have wave two, and you're going to have wave three, and potentially wave four in an early bull market like we are in right now, driven by AI/ML. So I disagree that ALAB was a laggard. Stocks that have moved, I mean, this stock moved from the bottom in April to the consolidation here. The stock have moved up 112%. So let's just keep this here for reference, 111%, okay? And then what the stock did after that move is essentially just consolidate sideways, okay? That's not a laggard stock. That's just a stock that's trying to digest 111% move up in a very short period of time before its next leg up. Participants in the market will have to accept this new price before they start buying and accumulating the stock again, okay? And when a stock goes up 111% and only pulls back 13%, that's a stock that's under accumulation, not a laggard. So I just kind of wanted to get that out of the way, because that's not a laggard. And I've talked about the weekly pattern in my previous video, so you can take a look at that. But definitely not a laggard stock, not because it went up, but those are the not the characteristics of a laggard stock in an early AI/ML driven bull market. Okay. So now let's get to the execution piece of the trade, and then we'll go from there. This was the first attempt that I did on this stock, so we'll color that blue. So I bought it here, and I didn't sell anything. So I was up, a little bit over 13% from here to here, 10%, and I was expecting the stock to potentially break out, because we've got rejected once, rejected twice, closed really strong at that resistance right here. So let's draw that. And the reason why I'm starting with a blank is just to kind of work through this. So closed really strong that day, and I was expecting a breakout, maybe pull back the top of the base, and then a continuation of the uptrend. Well, obviously failed below that level, and this wasn't looking too bad, and I talked to it in my previous video. So I just kept my stop. I moved it to break even, and I really expected this to just stabilize over here and then me being able to add, but unfortunately I got stopped out on this day. Okay, break even. Doesn't look broken at all. If you look at what this is, it's just simply a higher low in this consolidation. So you've got this one. Whoops, let me Go back. You've got this low here. You've got this is a higher low. This is a higher low. So the bullish stance of this still intact. And then what happens after this selling? No follow through. And then you go inside for one day. This was playable here coming out. And then you have a hammer right at the 200, right at the 50, right at the 10 week, right at the 21 EMA, just a cluster of all of this support. And then this is the exact same pivot. So the entry is exactly the same as this entry. And that's where I went back in this stock. And obviously I had no intention selling here. I didn't do it here. So now we have even fourth time test in. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and now you're coming back up 5. And I just have no intention of testing this because, like I said, I have the conviction. The story is there. The theme is there. Fundamentals are there. The technicals are there. It just have everything. Everything lines up. Everything checks out. I'm going to try to hold this. And then I went in pretty heavy on this one because it just felt that it's go time. And it's really going to go. So you're risking, 5%, 5-ish, to make multiple of that. Obviously, I didn't know that this is going to go 100%, but at least 2, 3, 4, 5 times your risk. So we get this pretty strong. We get gap up and closed up in the higher range. And then you got this gap up the next day. And I sold nothing here. I have my sales on the chart here, so we'll talk about them. Sold some here, sold some here, sold some here, small amounts. And then I recently sold quite a bit here. So the position is only down to 8%, but we'll talk about that here in a second. This looks easy to hold, but it really is not. If you look at this day, especially this day, because I remember it, because when you're up from your entry, at the high here up 32%, and then you get a day like this the next day, you'll notice it in your portfolio. You'll see it. So this day is from the close here to the low of that day when it was selling off on that day, the stock was down 12%. Okay, so this day was not easy to stomach. And how do you hold through this day? Well, I think it's kind of the decisions. You don't want to react. I've already moved my stop to break even. I still have the conviction in the stock. The story still exists. We're still in the bull market. There's nothing going on. If I didn't sell here up 23%, I'm not going to sell here when the stock is down 11%. I'm all in or nothing. I've already decided I'm not selling here. So I'm not going to overreact and sell out of fear here. I'm just going to let the stock come back and stop me out break even, just like it did over here, right? So I've already made that decision. And this is when I, often post about on Twitter, don't watch every tick of the market during the day. Just make your decisions when the market is not open, and move your stops and just let things be. And I always say, let the trading gods take care of the rest, right? So this stock was down 12% that day. And it was looking pretty ominous when it was all the way down here. But you just gotta let it be and follow your plan. All right. So stocks recover, and then it just chops around the high. And then you got the extension on this day here. We're getting close to earnings, so I needed to be able to hold, and I'm pretty heavy. I think I was 25, 30% position. Can't exactly remember, but it was pretty heavy. So I sold some here, and that's pretty hefty gain. So from here to all the way up here is about 50%, 52%. So I sold some. I still have a heavy position, just so that there's some out of the way, heading into earnings. Earning comes in, you get the gap up, I sold some more. So that is 80, 84%, 85%. And then we keep going up. I got another extension over here. So I sold some more. And I'm selling just a little bit, not really a lot, just to continue to reward yourself, especially when there are other stocks that are stopping you out. And we've been in a choppy environment for 2-3 weeks, so I just kind of peel a little bit off just to put some wins on the board and keep that equity curve moving up. So that's triple digit gain. I sold some. I had an alert at 200 to sell just a little bit more, but it just barely made it there. I think we got within pennies. 199.47 was the high, and then on this day here, I can't. Yeah, this is the rotation that was happening, the Russell. And then I had quite a bit of energy names that were getting hammered that day. So I scaled back the position quite a bit on this day. I haven't put the tick there yet. And then I think the position now is down to 8%, 7%, something like that. So it's a lot, way smaller than it is. But ultimately, I'm gonna leave this and see, maybe this builds something, comes all the way back down here at some point, and then builds a high handle, and then gets me to add a little bit more, and then ride it back up maybe to 300, 400, don't know. But I'm just leaving. Oops, I'm leaving the rest of the position. Maybe trail the 50, trail the 21. I really don't know. We'll see how it goes day by day. Great trade, but you need a lot to line up for these to happen. There's a tool here that I use that helps you look at your reward to risk. So this was the stop down below, and then these were the reward to risk, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 probably. 13x of your risk, which is, that's, you need a few of these every year, and then it'll make your year. So that was the BE trade. Sorry, the ALAB trade. So the story, the fundamentals, the earnings, the sales, laggard versus not laggard. How do you hold conviction? You make your decisions. Don't overreact during the day when the stock is down 12%. You didn't sell here. You didn't sell here. Why do you want to sell here? That's kind of the questions that you want to ask yourself. Just keep your stop break even. You've already made your decision. Nothing changed from the story, and so on and so forth. Obviously, if the story changed, if the market, there's something going on with the market, you can exit early, but none of that was the case for what this stock was doing. Okay, so that's how you hold through these days. All right, so that is the ALAB trade. Let's go to BE and talk a little bit about that. Oh, that didn't change. Just go BE. All right, so BE, energy, needed for AI. So same story there with the theme. So let's just, and then fundamentals, earning estimates. It's gonna start making money. And then you got the sales ramping up, EPS, so on and so forth. And then building a base. So let's go to the trading view and take a look at the execution piece of this. In that same video that I made a few weeks back, position yourself to get lucky, I bought the stock here. So let's do that quickly. I should have done that before the movie, but I bought it for the clip. I bought the stock here, and then I added to it here. And In that video, I was waiting really for it to build a handle, and I talked about, potential cup with handle when the stock was just here. So let me go back and do this. I said it would be nice for it to build a handle, and then you can add to the stock. But what I did instead, I sold it. And I'm just going to explain why I sold it and how I got back in. So this day was really great. I was expecting a gentle handle pullback that allows me to add. I did not like this day here. This day, don't know why this happened. I didn't really look for news, but this was a gap down. And again, this is what's crazy about when you're looking at the chart here, you think it's easy to hold, but when you go look at it day by day and you live it, it's not as easy as it looks. So this stock, after being up on this day handsomely, it was down 11-12% on this day. Okay, and it gapped down for whatever reason. It gapped down 9%. So this day was not expected on high volume. It's a small range day, so selling did not take it to a wide range. It would have been a lot worse. But I didn't like it. But because it was a narrow range day, I didn't sell it right away. I kept it. And then the next day was encouraging. The turn here was great. So I was feeling okay about just holding the position and then see if we can build on it. But this day here on red volume got me to exit by the close. Okay, so I closed the entire position here. I didn't like the reversal. And I really was not a fan of this gap down. So I thought this could potentially go all the way and test the 10-week or the 50, right? So that's, another 15% down, which would put my position in the red. And I had a double-digit win. I didn't want it to go back in the loss column. So I decided to exit and just monitor to see if I can get back in, right? So bought some here. My average was around here. So I had about 12%, 10% gain on it. So I sold it. This is what happened next day, the day after. So I like that. So now what you have here is that coupled handle I was talking about is really kind of developing nicely. And then there's, the selling here for whatever reason just stopped, right? Not just, this looks okay. Elevated volume, but it's not as scary. And then it looks like we're rebounding. We're not going down to the 10 or the 50. And then your coupled handle here is a little bit more clear. You got your cup and then you got your handle. Okay. So the expectations are still unfolding like I thought they would, or at least what I wanted to see. I remember I had stop limit on this day before the market opened, and this stock gaps up, right? So it gaps up and I never get filled. And then it gets a shooting star. What I do a lot of times when there's a stock that I really want to be in, and then I miss the entry on that day, whether it's gap, whether I didn't see it, I put my entry back in where that pivot is, where I want it to be in, and then I'll see if I can get filled the day after or second day after, max 1 or 2 days. If it doesn't fill in 1 or 2 days, I'm not interested anymore. Sometimes there's a quick dip into that pivot and then back up. But if that dip, happens after 3, 4, 5, 6 days, I'm not interested anymore. If it's the second day, it's ideal because that, if I'm in here, I'm going to still be in. So I'm getting back in. And that's what happened with this one. I got back in the second day with that same order. So it was like around right here somewhere. So I'm going to do that blue. And then we closed really nice, really strong. The second day, I added more over the high. So I bought a little bit more on this day right here. And then I've got my position. And this was a sizable position as well. Can't remember how much it was, maybe 20% or something like that with these two buys. And then we got this gap up, which is awesome. I sold nothing. I really wanted to hold this. My equity curve at this point, we were coming to earning, but my equity curve was doing really well. I had some nice profits somewhere else that I was selling. So I just kind of wanted to hold the entire position. We gapped down, I think, that day, and then just buy in the entire day. So that looks really nice. No reason to sell. This is just all bullish action. This is nothing. Just some folks taking profit here. Another good day. Reversal a little bit, but that's fine. At this point, I have, my average is around somewhere around here, and then I have about 50% in profits. Small day after selling. Says there's just no follow through. I'm good. Run up here. I debated taking some profits here, but I didn't. And then I think I misstated on X that I haven't sold any, but I actually sold some here. Just a little tiny bit around this level here for BE. And then I'm still holding the rest of the position. This is up now about 80% from my entry. I think I was up about 85%, 84% at the high of this day. Not seeing any signs of exhaustion yet. If we look at the monthly for this is really just breaking out of this relatively new IPO, a few years. So I think this has room to run. It is extended, so a pullback won't be out of the question here. But now I have options to trail the 21, to trail the 50, and just give it as much room as we can to, and potentially build out the position again. Because like I said, this is early AI bull market, so we'll see where these stocks will go. But lots of volume here coming out, pocket pivots and all that stuff. So everything looks good, but you just don't know what will happen. But this is another one that I took and playing out really well. So let's talk quickly about Ethereum, ETHA. So we'll do that quickly. All right, ETHA, ET. I don't think we need to go to MarketSurge. There's really no fundamentals here, but I talked a little bit about the story. Let me go to Trading View. I have my sales here, so we'll talk about them, but we'll just focus on the entry for this one, and then we'll go from there. I posted on Twitter or X that this is what's going up, and I said I would like to get into this. I'm not chasing. This is really strong. A lot of accumulation, a lot of institution buying this. I'm going to be looking for low risk entry to get in. You guys can find my post on X. And I was watching this. It's extremely strong. Quite a bit of people when I bought this here. Let's just I'll explain my logic why I bought it here. When I start buying it here. So let's talk about the entry, and then I'll talk about my logic. Okay. So I don't do this often, but I do. If you notice, my entry here is before the high. I start buying this, and I bought quite a bit of it. I think it was 30%, a little bit over 30% position. And I bought it in two chunks that day, above the high of the previous day. So I'm going to put a tick over here. But then I also stopped buying it just 10, 15 minutes after the open. And then let me explain why. So we know the story, talked about it. Institution wanted. Ethereum has a real use case with Litecoin. just rocketing higher, not pulling as much. So this is 80% here. This is about, oops, about 80% move higher. And then only pulled back 9%. Okay, not a high tide flag. This is an ETF. 80% is enough for me to consider it a high tide flag. You don't expect 100% moves on ETFs, but the real story here is the spot piece, not the ETF. So if you go to ETH USD, oops, let's switch in by itself. Hold on. This is the spot chart. And then this one also was about 80%. So it's not a stock. I'm not expecting 100%, but so if you go back to the volume on the ETF chart, it had a lot of red on it, and I had that question, how come you're buying it? There's a lot of red on it. ETF volume, I don't put a lot of emphasis on it. There's a lot of hedging that goes on. There's a lot of stuff that goes on with ETFs. So I was looking at the spot volume, and the spot volume, if you go to the weekly, shows absolutely nothing but accumulation. Okay. So the volume is not a problem. It's showing accumulation. So let me go back to the ETF, because that's really what I bought. And then let's take a look at the volume there. Let's take a look at the volume there. The weekly volume looks fine as well. There's a red here. But again, I was looking at the spot volume, not the ETF volume. This looks scary, but disregard this because you want to watch the spot, not the ETF. So this one here, it's really pretty simple. I want to be aggressive. This is strong. The story is there. It's hot. The theme is there. Institutions want it. Pulled back only 9%. So the way I played this and found a low risk entry is pretty simple. So I was looking at this level here. Okay. This is, give or take, this is the level I was looking at. Okay. That's what I was looking at. So we come back, take support, breaks in on a little bit of higher volume, stops, but then the next day we quickly reclaim that. And then the day after we test that on a very, 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 very low volume. Okay. So this, when I was looking at this that evening, is where I was interested. And why? Not because I knew it's going to go up, but because I knew if I buy it here somewhere, my stop is extremely tight. So if I want to put it under this low or under this level, it's less than 2%. If I want to give it all the way to the shakeout, it's 3%. Okay. So what I decided to do is really play this really, really, really tight. So this day here, I'm going to just move one more day. And this is kind of a little bit advanced and stuff like that. So when the market opened that day, market was a little soft, and we had quite a bit of growth names, if I remember correctly, were kind of showing weakness on that day. But what Ethereum did when it opened here that day, for the first 10-15 minutes, it was just stable, just holding really well against the other names I was looking at. So I stopped buying it here, and then with size, I think I did 20% buy here, because I knew if I'm wrong, I'm going to be out below the low of this day, and that was 1.2%, 1.3%. Okay, and then when it stopped moving back up, I added another 15% or 10% or something like that above the high, which was my original plan. But I stopped buying it down here and then I added to it down here. I don't do this often, but when I want to be aggressive, I do that sometimes. If there is a really low risk entry, and I'm okay if I get stopped out. So I'm being aggressive, big size, very small stop, and then I'll top it off if the stock stop moving in my direction. And this is kind of how I played this. Now, I was really heavy with those two, held it overnight, and then I took off the heavy or the overload at the test of the previous highs. This looks early, and this is not something I did with the stock like BE and ALAB, because I was really heavy on this one, because I stopped buying it down here, and then I added, topped it off, and then I just took some off here at the test of previous high because I was extremely heavy. Okay, so I took some off here. Let's bring this forward, and then on this extension, it doesn't look quite a bit of extension here, but if you look at it on TradingView or on MarketSurge, it looks pretty extended all the way up there. So I took some off, and then on this gap down, on the test of the low of this day, I took some off as well. I still have a good size position, down to maybe 15% or something like that, or 10%. I would love for this to come back into this area, and then put a high handle. This is the high of the base, so it's really not that far off. Let's just put that on here. The story hasn't changed. If we come back down here and make high handle on top of the base, I'll re-add to my position. This is ETF, so I am up 30% or so on this, so pretty good. Anyway, hopefully that helped. Coming up on 40 minutes. I don't think there's anything else I want to talk about. Obviously, not everything is like this. These are, some of my top performers. I've been doing really well recently, but there are things that, I'm getting stopped out on, and I posted about that on X. That's why I've been doing like some of these sales, some of these scaling out, is to kind of take care of the some of the stop outs that I had. So, for example, GBL is a stock that I got stopped out on. I bought it here. I added, can't remember if I added to it here, but anyway, here, and then I exited break even, so that got kicked out. CCJ, which kind of really sucks that I'm out of this, but I bought this here very, very, very aggressive. Not something I do all the time, but again, this is in the energy space. I wanted to get into it. Really strong, never gave me a chance to get into it. I was eyeing this one here, gapped up, so I'm not in it, but I bought it here, added to it here as well, and then I got stopped out below this low here or something like that. So a little bit of loss here. My average was here. It was also, I think, a break-even exit. So I'm out of this one, as well. RBRK is one that didn't work either. I bought it here. I added again here, and then I thought I'm gonna have a winner on my hand here, and then I think I sold it. Which day? I think I sold it on this day. I was just sick and tired of it. Setting up again though. Low risk entry. You stop down here. You can buy it coming out. So FIG is another one that I exited, break even. Bought it here, added to it above this high, and then I exited break even on that one as well. So not obviously, just not everything is working, but I've been doing really well for the last few weeks. Anyway, hope that helps. I wanted to get that out as I promised. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Thank you, and talk to you later. Bye.